started yet, or do you need some setup?
No, I just need to plug my laptop in.
Okay. So the audio cable is this one here. And I'll turn up the volume. We don't have Greg here today.
The lights off?
Yeah, let's go to the one switch. So, put the middle switch on there. Is that 2 yards? How's that? So do you want to give us a sound to make sure your sound's good?
Sure.
Thanks. Because we're excellent sound.
I think that.
What else?
Sounds pretty good.
All right, good.
Okay. How do I start this thing? Oh wait, hold on. I think my resolution is fucked up. I'm sorry. Where do I go? Somebody help me out.
There you
Displays?
go, and then lower. Yes, yes.
That
Sure.
mirror?
Could be good. Oh.
Good. Okay, where did my stuff go? Now I'm back in edit mode.
You're supposed to play. You're bringing up valuable wiggle room here with the time.
Yeah.
Full screen. Amazing. Okay. So this is the magnetotron, which is the working title of my project. It is a scalar musical instrument that consists of a rotating cylinder that is wrapped in ascending tones of cassette tape samples. And the player has 10 tape heads on the ends of his or her fingertips and can play the rotating sounds, and that'll be output to a sound system. As you can see, those are hands with tape heads on them. So here's a little history and background of it. This is sort of a mashup of 2 classic instruments. One is the glass harmonica, which is a series of rotating nested glass bowls that resonate when you put your fingers on them. And the other one is a mellotron, which is one of the earliest sampling synthesizers, which used loops of tape inside of this machine. And actually the beginning flute notes on Strawberry Fields by the Beatles were created with this instrument. Somebody in Brooklyn, I forget the guy's name, but he ended up doing this, which is his own version of the mellotron, but uses tape loops that are in Walkman. So those are actually like in several Walkman that he hooked up to his own enclosure. Namjoon Paik also did this sort of audio tape wallpaper where you would take a tape head and go across the tape that was on the wallpaper so you could play the wall. And I was also inspired by the project by Emily Webster and Genevieve Hoffman, who go here, which is tape translations, which basically destroys tape but provides audio output while doing so. Also very recently, there was this chap who was at Maker Faire who did this based on the ready-made of Marcel Duchamp's piece. And it actually has a tape sample, and he sort of DJs over it. So I had actually conceived of this idea before he did this, but just saying. But there it is all the same. So there's a lineage going on, I think is what I wanted to get across. I have used tape as a medium in several projects. I'll just go over them real quickly. One is that over the past 2 or 3 years, I've made a series of 44 mixtapes using only a laptop FM transmitter and a tape player to do all of the edits. So I'm very intimate with the medium itself in its traditional form. This is an early project called the Tapescape Audio Robot, which is basically a double cassette deck that's folded in half and then rolls across a scape of tape and then transmits via FM whatever it's picking up. And you can control it via remote control. And this is the electromagnetic mandala, which didn't get past the prototype stage for Sound in the City last semester, but is basically a loom style of audio installation that takes tape and wraps it amongst itself recursively, and the tape passes over tape head, and as the tape is being destroyed, it sort of sings its swan song. There's the tape head right there. So now we come to the iterations that I've had of this magnetotron that I would like to complete, and I'll just go through a few of them. So here is the first one. That was Mary Had a Little Lamb, in case you couldn't pick that out. Obviously, there were some problems. The biggest one being that the speed of the rotating cylinder was not fast enough so that any minute wiggling in your hand would affect the tone too greatly. So now we go on to the next one.
Right here. So as you can see, I'm getting 2 different discrete notes. Part of the reason why it sounds wobbly is because the whole thing is wobbly. So if I make it rigid, it should actually sound clearer. And then if I move it like this, I can get vibrato and different effects.
So one of the things that I thought was wrong with this iteration, and which Greg actually pointed out, is that I wasn't getting signal across the entire tape. I was using cassette tape, which uses 4 tracks, so 2 stereo tracks on each side, and each of them has signal here, but in between each signal is blank space, like this. So if you don't get the tape head exactly on the point that there's a signal, then that's a problem. So it was suggested that I get MRL tape, which is a magnetic reference laboratory, which records tape across the entire width of the tape. So I got a free sample reel of 1/4" tape from them, and I tried it with this machine, but did the Pepsi challenge with ITP students, and they couldn't tell the difference, which is interesting. So it was like sort of equally intermittent or wobbly. So then I figured that I wanted to strip it down, and I wanted to make the least amount of wobble as possible, the simplest iteration that I possibly could. So I came up with this third, which is just a single strip of tape on the end of a geared down power drill. And this is the result. So as you can hear, it gives a distinct tone. It sounds a little screechy and eerie, which has its own aesthetic unto itself, but it works. Even this isn't balanced completely. I don't think I got the hole in the center, like exactly in the center, so it could even be better than it is. But just to give you an idea, I took a sample of this video and I put together a little accompaniment just to give you an idea of what maybe this would end up sounding like in a performance. So, and then you have all of the tapes. Another thing that was an issue is that I need to use the preamps that are in tape recorders themselves because they're designed specifically for that. That was a big thing. So next, I need to make rigid body construction so that I have no wobble whatsoever. I need to get a proper motor and drivetrain, who I'm going to talk to Dustin Roberts about because she knows all about that stuff. I need to scavenge 10 to 20 tape players, depending on the number of tape heads that I want on my fingers. And I want to do timbre testing. All that I've been doing is sine waves. I can have a totally different palette, and hopefully I can just switch out cylinders if I want to change my palette. And I need to make a glove assembly, so I think I need to get some shape lock and do that. But I think aesthetically, it's coming to a place that I really like, and I appreciate any of your comments and suggestions.
Is that your prototype glove for?
No, it's not. That's somebody else's. Yeah.
Quick question, what's that? What is causing that wobble? Is it the, because you're ultimately going to be playing with your hands,
Yeah.
correct? So is that going to be an issue if your hand is not as precisely placed as it could be? Is that going to cause problems for you?
Well, the wobble, even in that final iteration, I think was because either like it wasn't seated completely vertically, and the hole wasn't centered completely, so it was actually like a little off kilter. Right. So as a result, the speed was changing, and when the speed changes, the tone changes. Expressively, what I want to be able to do actually is to get it going very fast, and then have the motion of your finger actually control vibrato. By, you know, if you're like doing minute movements relative to the tone and the speed that you're going at, you can get expressive movements like that.
How is the device amplified for a stage performance so that tons of people will hear this? Is it like, you mentioned like the cassette player preamps, but I'm not.
Oh, sorry, I just want to get back to that picture. So you'll see in this like little drawing that I made that I think I want to have like the actual cassette tape players in front, and I would break out the tape heads from them just with wire leads and have them all circling back onto my fingers. And then the outputs from the tape recorders would go in through a mixer that would be mixed and then sent out into the mains.
All right, and the tape itself, how, like, is what on the tape, how much does that matter to these tones that are you getting? Or is it like, is there a tone on the tape that
Yeah.
you just it's just like a single tone?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like you're taking like a tidbit of like a song or something like that, because that would just be,
No.
you hear that, right?
Yeah, it's for like, it's a tonal instrument. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is like a really fantastic, slightly hilarious, beautiful project. It's really deconstructing this analog, you know, almost obsolete, technology, and really kind of getting into it intimately. I think that's just really kind of beautiful. And the way you've got it rigged up there too to play back through these boom boxes you've kind of taken apart is pretty amazing. And I love that you have this, completely analog machinery happening that you're controlling just really with your fingers in kind of a special way. Could you put loops in there? Could you put anything in there?
I could put loops in.
Loops of like samples or whatever.
Yeah, I could. I mean, the only limitation would be on the circumference of the cylinder that I was using. You know, so they'd have to be that length,
Right.
basically. But I could, and I've considered it, yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that when you, that little sample that you played along here, it's got other things happening in there. Those would be from external inputs?
Yeah, well, I think for the performance, I'd like to have a backing band and have this be the showcase instrument.
So you plan to like compose a song?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a musician already, so.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too. It's really well thought out. It's obviously a medium you're familiar with and have been exploring, and yeah, I think it's cool.
Are there any issues with the motor that's turning this device? It sounded almost like maybe you're getting some of that sound from the motor picked up and amplified, or
Yeah.
I think you kind of got it separated from the cylinder right now in your drawing.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a considerable distance away because just by their nature, tape heads pick up electromagnetic frequencies. So that's definitely going to be something that I'll have to sort of tread through as I get further. Right now, just for testing purposes, I'm just using a drill and gearing it down. So, but yeah, we have a professor here who she teaches mechanisms and will I hope be able to counsel me on what the best way would be to do it.
Something about those motors, you know, the power drill motor is not, you know, built for, you know, for having a consistent speed. It's like, it needs to go fast. It doesn't need to go at a precise RPM, you know, consistently.
You're absolutely right.
So one thing you might explore is an actual capstan motor from a large tape deck. Those motors are designed to synchronize to the actual 60 hertz of the wall current. It's either called synchronous or synchronized.
Just an AC sync motor.
AC sync
It
motor.
would
Yeah.
be at a certain hertz.
Yeah, exactly. They sync themselves to the electrical frequency, and kind of keeps that very, very, very stable.
Cool.
And they're also very, very strong motors.
Yeah.
So I mean, that might be something to look into, although I'm sure they're expensive. But I think you're getting some of your warble just from the inconsistency in the speed of the motor.
I didn't even think of that. You're probably right.
I'm also, okay, so I'm really glad you showed us the history of you working with devices like this, because now I understand better why you're doing this. I'm still, I like the project a lot. I think it's really cool. I'm still not convinced of its performative. You know, you have this theory that it will be a good performance tool, and so far I'm not entirely convinced. I'm convinced that you're really excited about building it, and I'm excited about you building it too. But I'm just concerned about, like, is like 10 fingers with tape heads like really gonna work for you from a sort of expressive standpoint? So it's a rhetorical question. So I think you really need to get prototyping on something that you can actually play with very, very soon.
Yeah.
Okay, we're out of time. Let's switch to the next presentation. And while the next person is setting up, if there's any more comments for Michael. Who's going to go next?
AC sync motor.